You guys are in for a treat because today we are in O'Fallon, Missouri with Brian Owens, who has been the head brewer here at O'Fallon Brewery for the past 9 years.
When I started, I think we had 2 or 3 brands. It was just the O'Fallon Gold, which was our original flagship. I think we did a Christmas beer at that time, and when I came on board, the wheat was the first recipe that I worked on. And so since then, we have at least 12 or 15 beers or so.
And they're all so good.
Well, thanks.
Oh, I think that your beers are really, they're all very distinct.
Yeah, it all kind of starts for us here at O'Fallon as a homebrew batch. I mean, that's how all of us brewers started, was, as homebrewers. And the cool thing about homebrewing is that you can tailor your recipes each time you put a batch together to come up with something new. And we do that when we do pilot batches here, but once we get a recipe set, the goal is consistency. We want to make sure everything stays the same from batch to batch.
When you get a 5-day IPA, you want it to taste like a 5-day IPA,
right,
no matter what.
Right, and so that's really our goal here, is to make things clean and consistent. But the recipe, that means that the recipe development is that much more fun, because we get to play around a lot more as opposed to sticking strictly to the recipe. So we're always coming up with something new. We've always got a batch going in the 5-gallon pilot system, and that's what keeps it fun.
Well, how do you maintain consistency? Because you are using natural ingredients that probably taste different in different seasons, and depending on where you source it, how do you keep it that consistent?
Well, it's pretty basic here. We don't have a lot of the the analytical equipment that we would like to have to keep things as consistent as we would want to. But what we do is, we get reports from our grain. I can tell how much extract is in the grain, protein levels, if I need to make adjustments on how much we use. But our palate really tells us where we want to be, and that's most important.
That's what you should, that's what it really comes down to anyways, how it tastes.
Right.
It needs to taste good.
We're constantly coming up with new beers. We've got a brewer stash program where we do some higher end beers now that we've got a license to allow us to do bigger beers. We do a barrel aged program.
Explain what that means.
So the bigger beers are beers that are typically higher in alcohol. And they've got more calories and body and flavor, and beers that you usually have just one of. Can you sip on for the evening?
Can you give an example?
So our first beer that we did is called a Wee Heavy. It was a strong Scotch ale, really thick, cloyingly sweet, and just a really good winter sipper. Malt forward, so there's not a lot of hops in that beer. And then we followed that up with a beer called Stick It to the Man, which is a German-style alt beer. It's a Sticker Alt, or a secret beer. And so it was our take on that style.
Fun.
And so the Brewer Stash program is really based on the fact that we can come up with a new recipe, throw it in the Brewer Stash program, and we'll probably never do it again. So every few months...
Who gets to drink that?
Our motto here is we brew what we can, we drink what we can, and we sell the rest. So we drink everything.
I love it.
And so we do drink a lot of the Brewer Stash series, because most likely you'll never see that brand again. So if you see a beer in the Brewer Stash, it'll change about every 3 months, and it's probably something that we won't do anymore. And so that's what keeps it fun and interesting.